Well, who better than me to give you this presentation? Because I seem to remember a few weeks ago when our VP was up here alluding to the fact that there is no preparation or practice in any of my speeches. Well, let me tell you, you're wrong. Let me tell you that would be extremely impavid of me. And no, I'm not that impavid. Too. But I will be fatter. Speaking is about preparation and rehearsal. That's what you think. It's about writing a speech and just rehearsing it. Yes, that's part of it. I'm using notes because I've got to use the notes that I've been given. But more than that, the speech is about the preparation behind it. What differentiates an average speaker and an excellent speaker. There's 3 areas I'm going to talk about: creating comfort for you and security for yourself, rehearsing the speech, and some extra considerations. These are not my words. Wonderful Toastmasters. We're going to look at location of the lectern, microphones. We're going to talk about room conditions. We're going to talk about visual aids in this first section. So let's talk about the location of the lectern. Not much use there, really, is it? But it is worth thinking when you go into the stage, where will you want your lectern? Because you need to have it where it's going to work for you, that you can use your notes, maybe you're not going to be hidden, or maybe you need it to be in front of you, like I did in my last speech, because I had to have microphones and you would be doing a sales presentation. So the way the lectern is going to be, you need to work that one out, either whether you can change it or whether it will be in the same place. But you need to look at that room, or ask in advance where it's going to be. It might be, it depends on the shape of the audience. We've got a particular shape here, but sometimes you go into a room where it's a U-shaped audience. Or perhaps it's a lecture theatre. And when we was in our previous venue, some of you will remember, we had a stage. And if you know about these things in advance, you will be more comfortable when you go in front of the audience. You'll know what to expect. What about microphones? We don't use microphones here very often. We can if you want to. Sometimes when you go out, you will need to use a microphone. So you need to think about, well, how far away we need to be. Go up there early, get to the venue early, test, do a sound check. If you hold it here, is it best? If you hold it here, each microphone you're going to use is different. If there's 100 people, it might be a different environment. You maybe need to use a microphone. If there's lots of older people, you might again need to use it because they might not be able to hear you. And of course it also might affect how you're going to make the speech when you're in front of the audience. By going and finding out or talking to someone about the room, you're going to find out about the acoustics. Every room is different. And you need to modulate your voice according to where you're going to be. Really important, these sort of considerations. When I go to another venue, Richard will bear this out, when we went to see other Toastmaster, I always said, let's get there early. Let's see what they do. Let's see what the room looks like. Let's find out. Let's not have any surprises. Now, none of them gave us a microphone to use, I'm glad to say, but you never know. Room conditions. Now, I just turned that heater off. I think you noticed that. I was getting quite hot. I don't know if anyone else here was getting quite hot. I didn't spot that it was on. But you know, that makes a difference. Is it going to be really hot in there? Are you, if you're wearing your tie, your suit, like when Tom done his speech recently as best man, he, those of you who didn't know, he dressed as a woman. That was weekend. No, but he had to wear the whole paraphernalia as best man, and probably he got quite hot, I would imagine. He would have to have think about that. Was it an air-conditioned room? You're going to go in an air-conditioned room. Maybe you need to make sure you do keep a jacket on, or a cardigan, or whatever. Lighting of the audience. Are you going to be able to see the people in the audience? Or are they going to be like a dark area to you? That would affect how you feel. If you're talking to a dark area, you don't know, unless you get audience reaction, it's quite scary. So you need to figure that out. The stage, where is the entrance to that room and where is the egress? Because if someone comes in late, or someone leaves early, if they're going to walk straight past you, it's going to upset you if you don't know it's going to happen. And if they all do it, I'll just give up. So that's the sort of thing you've got to think about. We've got road noise. When we was at one of our previous venues, I think you can remember, we used to have 2 pigeons. Do you remember that? The 2 pigeons that were going at it and attacking each other or whatever they were doing. But that was effective, you know. I can remember it even now. Visual aids. Now, you've got to think about in advance, how easily can you show those presentations? Where would you stand so that people can see them? How will your handouts be distributed? When if you've got handouts to give to people, is there someone that, are you going to leave them all on the seats? How are you going to get them out to people? These days people don't care, they just have their email them to you at the end of the presentation. But, I guess that's not always the way it happens. So, what we're getting from this is, if you do this sort of work in advance about where what the room's going to be like, and it gives you a chance to adapt, gives you a chance to feel comfortable, and you can become familiar with the area you're going to be speaking in. Now, if for instance you're going a long way away and you can't get there, or you only be able to do it just before the speech, but you could still ask the host or the chair, well, what sort of room we're going to be in? How many people will be there? How old will they be? Because obviously if they're all Stuart, you've really got a problem. Notwithstanding the fact that he's going to give me grief back later. I'm going to let myself in for it now.
It's all right, I can't hear you.
That's what I mean. Lucky one. Okay, so next one is rehearsing the speech. Now, at the end of the day, when you write a speech, and things like at the end of the day is great, mate. It always upsets Stuart when you put things like that. At the end of the day, when you write a speech, you write it all out. That's not finished. That's not a finished speech. That is nowhere near a finished speech. It will change before you give that speech if you rehearse it and practice it. So you can over practice a speech. I won't tell you can't, because that can be frustrating. But here's a few ideas on how to get your speech ready for being in front of an audience. You know what you've written. You know what it wants to be. You've got your roadmap. You've done the whole thing. The next thing is to practice the ideas, not the words. If you know the concepts you want to get across, you've written it out pretty much word for word or whatever you want to do, make sure that you know what the specific parts are that need to be said. The statistics, for instance, the garlic. That speech wouldn't have worked if there wasn't somebody to take Prasan to buy the garlic they'd forgotten when we left Buntingford tonight. But that's a specific thing that you need to remember. Statistics, he gave us those statistics. He gave us humour. Those are the ideas that you've got to remember. And I always say, and I think Toastmasters would say the same, try and consider being conversational in tone for most speeches. Prepare a mental draft of the speech. So you kind of know where you want to go. Draft it in your mind and think about where it's going from start to finish. It helps you to ensure that you know where that roadmap is. And that's what I now do when I write a speech. It makes sure you don't give a faulty delivery. You don't forget a word. If you forget one word of a learned speech that's just absolutely word for word, you forget one of the words and you're lost. So this is a way of making sure that you remember the speech in advance, without having to be word for word. You can remember the words that need to be remembered that are going to give you humour. Finish each rehearsal. So when you start rehearsal, if you forget something, you get it wrong, don't worry. Just carry on. Make a note in your mind where it went wrong, what was wrong, but continue as if you were in front of an audience. Because if you're in front of an audience and you get it wrong, you forget what you're going to say. If you get it wrong, you can't go back and do it again. You just got to carry on. So remember, when you start doing that rehearsal, just carry on. If you get it wrong, just carry on all the way through. Go back and change that bit that you stumbled upon. Add improvements gradually. So improve one part. Don't try and change the whole thing because you know that's not right. Improve one part first, and then another finally. Maybe add humour at one point. Where can I put humour in? Or where is there humour to be discovered if you follow Craig Valentine's ideas on it? Where can I get body language or rapport? Where can I get rapport with the audience? You're all sitting like that. I can't do it. Think about where you're going to use body language. What parts maybe, and that's what John's done tonight. He's looked at where you can use that body language and he's put it in. And that was great because that's what that speech was all about. Pacing. When should you speak fast? And when should you speak slowly? Where should you pause? These are the things that you start to do gradually once you've written the speech. So, you know, when you've written that first speech, that's not finished. If you do all this, you will turn an average speech into an excellent speech. And finally, feedback. Now, this is where you get your mentor. If you've got an assigned mentor in the club and they're not fed up with you by now, you get the mentor to listen to your speech. I do have Skype, you know, or you can get a friend to listen, or your wife, or your husband, or your girlfriend, or boyfriend. I haven't got any friends. I get the dog to do it. And even he decides to leave the room most times. It's dreadful. So what I end up doing now is I've got a phone with a camera with a video on it, and I just video myself. And I watch that video back. And then I delete it, and then I do it again. But that's how you, if you haven't got someone to do it to, that's how you can do it. You can video yourself, and then you can sort of watch it back afterwards. So that's about how you rehearse the speech. Does that make sense? There's a few ideas there, isn't it? And we finally come to the extra considerations. These are some steps that Toastmasters have given us that will ensure a good speech or presentation delivery. Now, I don't take credit for what's in there, right? So don't blame me. The first one says, provide material for the introduction. Now, if I hadn't given introduction to Liz, you'd have all said to me, well, you didn't do it. And so I did it. I gave her an introduction, and she said to me, why have you given me this introduction? Well, I've got to read it. And I said, well, if you don't, I'm going to look stupid. So that's why there was an introduction tonight. And actually, if you're going to speak outside of Toastmasters, say for instance, Deborah's going to go out and talk to a load of journalists or something, you know, she needs to produce her credentials so people know just that she is, you know, an expert in her field. You know, if someone else goes out and does, you've got to prove that they're going to listen to you. And that's what I tried to do with that speech tonight, with that introduction tonight. Give it to the MC in advance, discuss it with him or her, make sure they know what the speech title is, the purpose of the speech, qualifications for giving that presentation, and best of all, your name. I mean, it'll be a bit pretty sad if they go out there and say, no, I introduce. Well, anyway, they're coming up now. So what about physical preparation? Now, I've got my own ideas on this. This is about feeling good physically and mentally before you come on stage. Now, I think it was an eye-opener to Richard last week when I said to him, my wife cooked me a meal before my speech tonight, and I didn't eat it. It was the wrong type of meal for me to eat before I came down and speak. It was the wrong type of meal. I knew it would make me feel too full, too stodgy. It was the wrong type of food. So think about what you eat and drink. Eat and drink moderately before you speak. It's wrong to have a big, stodgy meal before you come up and speak. It really isn't the right thing to do. Avoid alcohol. Now, I just say, no, this isn't my words. This isn't my words. This is what I'm told to tell you. Avoid alcohol and caffeine. Okay, now I've said it, my hand and fingers are crossed, but actually don't drink too much before you're going to speak. It would be really embarrassing if you started slurring your words because you're drunk, because you know, it's just not on. I do have the odd shandy or a beer, but not too much. And again, not my words. Exercise moderately before you come on stage. Well, you all saw me out there in the gym, didn't you, tonight, doing my bit. They say a brisk walk will improve the blood flow. Rotate the head. A full yawn. Well, I can see you doing that now. So you're all ready to speak. You're all ready to speak. Here's the thing that I definitely agree with. This is the thing I do. Have a mental rehearsal in your mind. I do this all the time. I really do. I visualise success. I do with other things as well, but certainly when I speak, I visualise me standing in front of the audience and doing the entire speech. Do you know what? When it finishes, it always ends, in my mind, maybe, I don't know, maybe really as well, but it always ends in my mind with a standing ovation, okay? It ends with a standing, you've got that, it ends with a standing ovation. Come back to that in a minute. So here we go, in conclusion, having got a speech assignment, don't get carried away with what to say. Remember to think about the delivery as well. Remember to think about how to put some careful preparation in. Well-devised practice your strategies, well-devised strategies, and that will assist in your confidence and attaining excellence. And here we are, ready for that standing ovation. I hope I'm going to get it. Anyway, I've visualised it. So good luck happens when preparedness meets opportunity. Thank you.